Nautilus stood for proper training. Okay. And that's where kind of Imagine Strength has come from. The markets have changed. The way we train is different now from when we had Nautilus studios. They started that, but now we're back in these high intensity training studios and your clients and stuff. So what we've done is try to take the equipment and make it for larger markets. For example, our row machine has the ability to adjust width on the shoulders. So you have handles that adjust in and out. That's so we, and a chest pad that goes up and down so we can fit under a 5-foot person to a 6'5" person. So that allows our clients or customers that buy our equipment to increase the market share that they're trying to attract. And it's very, very important that you're able to meet the needs of the client coming in the door. And that's kind of where we massage our equipment over time. And we're still going to do that. We're going to continue to improve. So innovate, improve, and support that equipment. You have to make money in these studios. You have to, if you're going to open a business, you want to, at the end of the year, go, yeah, this was the right idea. This is something I really wanted to do. And I'm providing for my family and I'm making a profit. The hardest thing for somebody to do is to come in your door. So once you get them there, you need to be selling 8 out of 10. You should be closing 8 out of 10 of those people. 2 is you want to cut attrition. It's 5 times. This is actual numbers. 5 times more expensive to get a new client than to keep an old one. So how are you doing that? How are you quantifying their change in results? Well, we're providing that. We're going to provide that. And so we got some things in the works, something that will be coming out here in the next month or so that we're going to help. When you walk in the door, you'll be able to test and show somebody where they're living. How old are they living? You test somebody, they're 60 years of age, test their strength in their legs. How old are they living? Are they, and you can prove to them why they need to train with you, how you're going to change their life. And then you can quantify that change 6 weeks, 8 weeks down the road, how much they have been changing, and give them a report card.
Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your hit business and fueling your passion for high intensity training. This is episode 501, and today we welcome back Imagine Strength founder Jeff Turner to update us about the Imagine Strength machine line and answer your most popular questions. Jeff, welcome back to the podcast. Great to see you.
Good morning. Well, it's good morning at my time, not yours. Good morning, Lawrence. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very good. It's good to see you. Been excited to. I haven't spoken to you in a while on the podcast. So I'm excited to get some updates. We got lots of questions from listeners and people inside the high intensity business community. So I'm excited. Just for first time listeners, people that have no idea what Imagine Strength is, do you want to just give an overview of the company and the equipment that you're building?
Yep. And a lot of people know about, what we've been doing, how we've been doing it. It's been, of course, quite a road over the last 4 years or so, 4.5 years to build Imagine Strength. We now, as you and I have just talked about, we'll now have 23 to 24 pieces in our line. We're prototyping 4 new pieces within the next 2 weeks. We will be able to announce a little bit more about it, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later as we go through this podcast. I won't bog you down with the boring stuff right now, but our mission, of course, at Imagine Strength is to innovate, improve, and support. And over the last, number of years with Discovered Strength and with, Jeff from Ohio, Max Strength, these 2 franchises, great groups. We've been able to get our equipment out in the field and improve it as we go along. You've got to get it out being used. And of course, with COVID and everything else we couldn't do your typical prototyping. So this is where we're at now. And I'm really surprised. I see the brochure that we've got out now, and it's got 23 pieces on it. And I shake my head. I go, I don't know how I survived it. How did we get to this point, And again, they're tools. We're trying to provide tools for your group that we're talking to right now. They know how they want to run their business. They know what the protocols that they want to do, how they're going to help their clients. We want to give them tools that allow them to do that from small people to large people, and that's what Imagine Strength is. They're great tools for somebody to use to make money. The whole thing is it's got to be simple, safe, and effective. And then be able to use the equipment to go out there and actually use those tools to provide a living for themselves, better results and opportunities for their clients, but it's got to be a tool that they can use to make money. Absolutely. And there's some things that we're doing right now, and we'll tease it a little bit, that will help with sales and cut attrition, keep retention, because it's going to be result-based, some testing things that we're going to do, and we're creating a machine and things to do, because it has to be quantifiable change for their clients. You've got to be able to show them why they train with you, those kind of things. So that's where we're headed. We're not just a company who wants to build iron and steel. We want to build relationships with our groups to help them make more money. In fact, Pete Cirqua.
You sound like Pete Cirqua right now.
Pete, I know, don't I? Him and I tell you,
you've been talking to too much.
We're talking. It's like, we can't shut up about it because that's the most important thing. People don't realize we have these. In me, I was like this. We have these ideas in front of us, inside of us. I want to build this studio. I'm going to make it look like this. But at the end of the day, you have to make money. And if you don't make money, that's why it's so important to be able to use people like Pete that could help you grow your business, draw more people in, understand who you are and what you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for that brief overview, Jeff. Could you just elaborate a little more? Because I know the answer to this, but I think it's just really useful for listeners, people that are just learning about Imagine Strength for the first time. How is it different from maybe other machines that people might use in high intensity training or personal training? I think by describing how it's different and how it helps people get results is going to be really interesting to those thinking about buying new machines or starting a HIIT business.
Well, what we've tried to do, Lawrence, in one of the most important things we've done, I worked for Nautilus for a number of years, over a decade. I still believe Nautilus. I have boxes full of my old Nautilus stuff, and I could not. It's hard for me to get rid of it. I want to keep it.
Send it to me.
But it's because of Nautilus stood for proper training. Okay, and that's where kind of Imagine Strength has come from. The markets have changed. The way we train is different now from when we had Nautilus studios. They started that, but now we're back in these high intensity training studios and your clients and stuff. So what we've done is try to take the equipment and make it for larger markets. For example, our row machine has the ability to adjust width on the shoulders. So you have handles that adjust in and out. That's so we, and a chest pad that goes up and down so we can fit under a 5-foot person to a 6'5" person. So that allows our clients or customers that buy our equipment to increase the market share that they're trying to attract. And it's very, very important that you're able to meet the needs of the client coming in the door. And that's kind of where we massage our equipment over time. And we're still going to do that. We're going to continue to improve. So innovate, improve, and support that equipment. But we had to get it out in the field first to find out those nuances and things that we needed to do. And now that we've been in this about 2 years, and I have the first line of production models that are out there, and we've made significant changes in improving the equipment, being able to fit and actually do exactly what we wanted it to do for clients.
Awesome. And just to elaborate, you can correct me here, but some of the things that really stood out for me, I mean, obviously I've used Imagine. I've spoken to a lot of people who have bought a lot of Imagine recently. And maybe you might mention this, but I love the fact that you really built it for businesses with trainers, right? So the idea is that, these machines are to be used with, they're not really supposed to be used for clients who are self-supervising. They're used for trainers training clients on them in terms of the way they're built, the way things are positioned. They're much more affordable than a lot of machines, right? Which is helpful. And they consume a lot less floor space on average, right? So you have more machines. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is that correct still?
Yeah, they're close to, when you look at it, they're very close to the same size. You look at it on average, they're about 4 by 5. This is what the size you're going to need on the floor. It's about 4 by 5. So they're similar to a MedX piece or a Life Fitness piece, smaller than some, larger probably than some others, depending on the size. But what we've tried to do, you look across, all of our weights actually the same height. We don't have different size, frames and all these different things. There's only one that's a little bit different, 500-pound stack on our leg press because you needed more weight for. But other than that, he was to build a line of equipment that's more a modern take on the equipment with bent oval tubing, and we bend our tubing, just cut and weld. So you look at our tubing versus a lot of others or how we build it, it's bent, and it gives a much more pleasing look. So you get that wow factor walking in the door. But the main focus and what you hit on was the fact that we also have to be able to design equipment that fits different people and allows for different types of protocols on that equipment. It can't just be it's trainer driven. The equipment has to be trainer driven. I didn't want to make a line of equipment, and maybe someday we'll build something that's similar. We've got a lot of people asking us if we can build a line for a high school or do something like that. Well, you still need to set these up correctly around muscle and joint function of that and the condition of a client coming in your door. And we can do that. That's what we set them up for. So every one of our pieces And you can see here in this piece here, our guide rods have holes throughout that guide rod. So we can adjust start position, top stop. We can do static holds. We can do all kinds of different protocols because that's what people buying our equipment want to be able to do for their clients. So we're not trying to tell people they have to do a certain way, but we want high intensity, safe, effective equipment, exercise on our equipment. You're right. It won't go into a big box club because they won't know how to use it. They won't use it correctly. It takes the trainers, well-educated trainer, understands why they're buying a piece of equipment, how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And they got, like you said, they got a great look. Even though the weight pin looks really fancy. If anyone's interested in see, well, obviously you're a trainer yourself, Jeff. You have your own HIIT studio, but you're obviously slightly biased. So there's a good video by Pete Surquois where he talks about the Imagine line through the lens of generating more business, giving customers a more pleasing customer experience, and talks more about the aesthetics as well as the function of the machines as well. So we'll link that in the show notes on the blog post probably, and you can get Pete's perspective there as well. So just going into some of these questions then, Jeff, why don't you start off by giving us the big updates? So what are the things that have happened over the last 6 to 12 months, the developments, the innovations, and what's coming?
There's a number of course, as we've gone along here, things that as we put equipment out in the field, the holes in the sense that you want to fill. Whether it's the new bicep, we have a new bicep that's been out about 6 months, 7 months, with the adaptive drive in it. So it adjusts around your axis of rotation around your elbow joint. If you notice, a lot of biceps don't feel very good, especially as you get heavier, because they seem to not stay with the joint, stay with the bones that are moving. You don't get as good a contraction, those kinds of stuff. So we're doing a lot with those. So we've come out now recently with our new bicep, tricep, both have adaptive drives in them for axis of rotation, for movement around proper joint function. We have a 10-degree chest that's coming out. I can't wait to see that. It was something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And the 10-degree chest, of course, is a lying chest fly, basically, or pec fly. But we put 2 adaptive drives in it. So as you come across and do this, you notice when a lot of people have done a 10-degree chest, or if they're familiar with that, shorter people can't use it. Well, we made adjustments for all that and proper joint function, so we don't causing issues in the shoulder joint itself. So it'll fit, but it also is fixed together. So when one moves, it's unilateral. When one moves, the other one moves. So it's a lot less neurologically adapt. You don't have to adapt to it, but 2 different motor patterns going on. You have one. It's easier and less skill involved in learning to do our piece. Those kind of things. So we've been doing that. So we have 10-degree chest, bicep, tricep. We have a new calf machine. It's a linear calf. I can't wait to do that. And we'll be doing videos on these, but right now they're in the prototype stage, and we'll be done with our prototyping here by the end of February or before. And they're going to be they should be a great addition to what we're doing. And they're going to follow down the same line as far as the great tools to use, in HIIT training studios, but they're not going to be for a big box club.
Got it.
One other thing we're working on, that thing we alluded to, and I'm just going to tease it a little bit because I don't want to get too much out there, but you have to make money in these studios. You have to, if you're going to open a business, you want to, at the end of the year, go, yeah, this was the right idea. This is something I really wanted to do, and I'm providing for my family, and I'm making a profit.
Right. Kind of
what we've done. Yes. Well, and what there is, you have 2 things. You have sales. You have to draw people in, but you have to sell them when they come in your door. The hardest thing for somebody to do is to come in your door. So once you get them there, you need to be selling 8 out of 10. You should be closing 8 out of 10 of those people. 2 is you want to cut attrition. It's 5 times. This is actual numbers. 5 times more expensive to get a new client than to keep an old one.
Yep.
So how are you doing that? How are you quantifying their change in results? Well, we're providing that. We're going to provide that. And so we got some things in the works. Something that will be coming out here in the next month or so that we're going to help. When you walk in the door, you'll be able to test and show somebody where they're living. How old are they living? You test somebody, they're 60 years of age, test their strength in their legs. How old are they living? Are they, and you can prove to them why they need to train with you, how you're going to change their life. And then you can quantify that change 6 weeks, 8 weeks down the road, how much they have been changing, and give them a report card.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to give them a report card because you want them to stay. because it's 5 times more expensive to get a new client than to keep an old one. So that if you can have a very strong membership that you have a waiting list for, that'd be the place to be.
Right. And can you tease us more? Is this some kind of testing apparatus or machine?
Well,
Or
it is. Yes. So 20 years ago, when we first started our business, I've been doing this for 26 years in my studios, and we've had everything. We've been doing this for a long, long time. And the biggest problem is people walking out of your door. You can sell people, you can tell them how wonderful you are and all the things that you're going to do for them. But in a month's time, if you haven't been able to show them that they're actually getting better or changing, that's is what we've been. So I'm looking at this going, why don't we create a testing device? And you've seen them out there, but ours is going to be something very, 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 very affordable. It's not going to be something that's going to be so outrageous you can't afford to have it in your studio. But what it's going to be is a testing device. And again, be on the lookout for it. It'll be out there. We'll show it here in a little while, but it's going to be able to test the 3 big movements: chest press, row, leg press, all from the same seat, basically. One strain gauge, one force gauge. You don't have this all these different, strain gauges and wires and different things. One display, but the idea is to be able to test and show quantifiable change in results, or where somebody is when they walk in your door. And it's really important to be able to, when somebody walk in your door, so look, I can take you through even just 2 legs, just test their legs and show them, well, this is where you're at. This is where we really should be. We need to get you stronger so that when you're 80, you're walking around like you're 30. And we can do that. This is what we do in our businesses. All you guys do in your businesses. Well, we can prove it now.
Perfect.
That's the idea.
Yeah, sounds great.
Not just do iron and steel for the sake of around a joint, but something actually to provide a way for you to make more money.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Okay, so a couple of questions here then. You kind of mentioned this. Do you want to just elaborate? Is there anything more you can say on the focus of Imagine Strength going forward? Any other machines in the pipeline that you want to mention as well?
Well, right now we do have, we're just finishing up with, so I'm going to go ahead and we did tease this a little while ago. We're working with Kent Falls from the Gluteator. And one of the things that I have actually not even really been on one, but I understand the machine very well. But so what we're going to do is work with Kent Falls. We're doing a licensing agreement with the Gluteator, and we're going to bring it out as part of our line. And the Gluteator will end up having a weight stack driven one, and also one that's plate loaded. So we're still going to stay true to the Gluteator and what Kent's dream was, vision and how to get it out. But we want to be able to update the look for one. So it's going to have the bit tubing and look like some of our pieces. But we also want to be able to make it simple to do inside a studio. So you don't have to plate load. You don't have to pull plates on and off. You move a pin.
Got it.
And so that was one of my key things. I was hoping to make it direct drive, no belt. So that is another teaser. It's out there. We're just now getting that in the works is to bring out a hip glute machine, for abduction and, glute extension.
Right. Okay. I had a question on that actually. So that's answered too. Got quite a few here. So I want to rattle through. Try not to interrupt you. Any news about updates on European and Australian distribution?
Yep. We have Australia, a group down there they've been there about a year now. They're ramping up. One of the things about when you look at the different markets, interesting because you look at and you've been in the States. The States have been, we've been doing kinds of training studios since the 70s. With Nautilus and well, a lot of other countries have not moved into that realm. So Tony and his group down there are actively creating new studios and working with people to bring the hip market to Australia. And so that's now South Korea. We're in South Korea, same thing there, trying to develop that. A lot of the Asian countries don't even understand. When they look at high intensity training, they look at CrossFit, basically, not what we do. So they're bringing that in, working with other looking for European distributors. Well, here's one of the main things that I want to get across to everybody is my mission before we ever do any of that is to keep the company small. I'm not a big fan, at least as of right now. We can't address issues and be able to mobilize very quickly if we're this massive company. I want to be able to do what we say we wanted to do, and that was bring out equipment and tools for our HIT community. The more minds that are involved with that, the more people we have involved with that, like with Pete's people, Tom, and down in Georgia, and people that are using our equipment in other places. These people help drive what we do. Well, for this massive company, that's not going to happen. And so my whole mission is to create the legacy of the equipment, not myself, not who I am, but that. So that's kind of where we're at. Is we're definitely working on some of those things outside the country, but my focus is here and working with the HIT community here, and that what they're doing right now. The other ones will benefit from that as we go along. You know, the other countries are going to benefit what we're moving over here.
Yeah, I get it. Because if you spread so thin, creates a lot of complexity, things break. So I understand why you're doing it that way. What is the biggest hurdle you faced so far in building this kind of company? I mean, a lot of us, we see technology, machine companies come and go in this space all the time. And I always see new players and I think that's so hard. Like, hat off to you. Yeah. That's a really hard business. So yeah, tell us more about the biggest hurdle you faced so far in doing all this.
There's actually probably two of them that are the main hurdles. Now you bring that up. The first one is logistics. Of course, we can get the equipment to us. I can build up to 30 lines of equipment in a month. I can build it and ship it. We can ship it by container or get it over here to our warehouse. I can't store that much, but we can get it. The problem is getting it from my warehouse or where we're at in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, outside Coeur d'Alene, to all the customers. So that's been the largest hurdle, especially during the wintertime.
So the domestic shipping is the problem. And we all know Golda, right? Whose first name I don't even know because everyone just calls him Golda. And is he is this surely others who can help with the shipping? What's the actual problem there? You mentioned about weather, but I don't fully understand why we can't solve that and find more people to help with that process.
The problem is like with where we're at it, there's a couple of things we have to look at, but as we grow, get larger, we will do this more likely. Is if you had two different warehouses and two different sets of people, setting up two different warehouses, you'd have a Midwest distributor, you'd have us out here on the West Coast. The problem is we have Rockies. We have lots of mountainous areas. So during the wintertime, sometimes they're impassable. You can't even go across them. So when you have somebody that has a club opening up in a month and they need to have it here by a certain time and Dave can't get to us to get the equipment or
Dave,
do it, you end up having a logistic nightmare. And then use the other companies that we've used. We've used two different ones. I won't name them now, but it's very frustrating, you guys. You need to understand. They put them on their back. They destroyed the shields. They dropped them off the back of the truck. I had a leg press over in Chicago for Discovery that came off the back of a truck and just about destroyed the whole thing. And who covers that? Those kind of things. So we're not. People are not. They don't understand these companies, shipping companies. Do not understand how to move our.
But that sounds so strange to me because clearly Dave is like a superstar in our industry, has been doing this for decades, and he understands. He treats the machines very carefully. He understands that they're fragile and they need to be. But that seems to me to be such a transferable skill. This is how we package them. This is how we dismantle. This is how we move the machine. So. Not to give Dave even more work and responsibility, but I feel like he's the expert, right? So he needs to take all this knowledge he has and train other people, because otherwise it's good for him in a way because he gets all the business and he's inundated, but it's bad for the rest of us. It'd be good to have a few more suppliers out there who know how to do this. Shouldn't be that complicated in my head, but then I'm very ignorant about this. So.
Well, the difference is it's not complicated to learn. It's hard to do. Okay. So people don't like how hard the work is. Dave takes his time. He does it right. He knows how to make it easier on himself so that he can do, he does 34 pieces per truck. We try to load him up with 30 pieces per truck and he'll go deliver 10 pieces here, 20 pieces there. And not only does he deliver them, but he puts them together and installs them and knows how to put them together.
Okay.
So learn all that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's huge for us.
Yeah.
Then we go in and we go through them once they're in. And I do that with every install. We do it with every install. because we want to make sure the equipment's set up correctly and working correctly. But
Yep.
Dave takes it. Now get another person that wants to work that hard by themselves.
Mhm.
It's very difficult. And he's tried. He's had 2 or 3 different people on the road with him, and they say, "Oh
Like
yeah, I can do this."
apprentices, right?
Yeah, but then they don't want to do it. They don't
Okay,
keep
got it.
wanting to do it. So right now he's got about 2 years left, and we're going to have to come up with a way. We got to get our own drivers. When I worked for Nautilus, we had 6 or 7 semis, I think, and 12 different drivers and installers, and 2 of them went out at a time. But Nautilus was a $30 million company. They sold, and they basically just sold iron and steel there at the end as much as they could sell. I don't want to do that. I want to be that group that builds tools and like we talked about for the hit community. I don't want to be a company that just throws out iron and steel, doesn't worry about the customer, they just sell the equipment. So
This
it's
is
difficult to get that equipment.
Jeff, I know I'm going off script here a little bit, but isn't this sometimes a problem with you being so affordable? Is that it makes it really hard to then solve some of these problems, because I don't know whether you have a desire to, I mean, I know you said you don't want to build a huge company, but this is a really important problem to solve, and you could solve it by having that in-house, right? Hiring people, training them up to ship the equipment and build them at locations. But sometimes that's an issue if your prices are too low, right? You haven't got the margin to be able to invest in that. So does that something cross your mind? Yeah.
Part of it might be the margins, but it's not really the cost of the equipment. It's what it is finding somebody that you're going to have, of course you already have Dave, but you're going to have somebody that's going to be working, they're kind of working almost part-time. You know what I mean? It's not like they go, we have 30 pieces every week and a half. They're going to come grab 30 pieces, go out. You see what I'm saying? With Nautilus, we had 6 different trucks, but we were selling enough equipment here and there that they could do that across the US. And then they had two different drivers that go with it, or, that go with them. But the problem with all that is that they had a $700 million company behind them, like Delta Woodside or Duckhead Apparel. Those ones that when I worked with them, or even Bowflex. So they had a lot more debt being able to go out and buy trucks and hire drivers. And then if they're not working at that point in time, the problem is, they're out on the road, then we have, and they only have 1 delivery a month or 2 deliveries a month. Is it going to be good enough for them? Enough to keep them busy enough? Sooner or later, it's going to get that way. Yes, as we grow the business. But, and we have looked at, I'm actually looking at buying a truck right now, a smaller truck. So we're going to do a lot of the smaller deliveries ourselves. We're going to be doing a lot of the, 2 to 6 or 2 to 8 pieces, but mostly on the West Coast. We'll do them because driving, to Florida from Washington, is not exactly cost effective either. So probably the next thing to do is for us would be to get a secondary warehouse, Midwest, and deliver from there. It's much easier and quicker. And we have another team over there, but we're not quite there yet.
Understood. So related to this, do you see problems or potential price increases due to increased tariffs on Chinese imports?
I have not seen that yet or anything yet, so I don't know. It's depending when people look at tariffs, because pardon me, I'm going to have a little drink of coffee here.
You're fine.
But when you look at the tariffs, we just absorbed those last time. So we don't increase our pricing because of that. Now we could, but I try not to do that to our customers. But if we do have a tariff change, I don't think it's going to be a big, because, exercise equipment is coming out of China, at least ours. It's not like you're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of our equipment coming out of China right now. So we're small on the radar compared to some of the other tariffs they're looking at, products that come across that they're going to, they get sold, whether it's pharmaceuticals to whatever, that, they're looking at tariffs on a lot of that stuff, including electric cars and, those kind of things to, one, persuade people not to bring them over here, but 2 is to, to get them to buy our products, so it's not just a one-way system. So we'll see what happens with the tariffs. We didn't get hit too bad with the tariffs last time. The tariffs went away, most of it. We still have about, I think, a 7.5% tariff on our stuff. It has been there since we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too worried about the tariffs right now. So it's okay. Well, it probably won't affect our pricing.
Cool. Okay, good to know. So moving on to more specifics about machine improvements or modifications. Do you have, are there seatbelts on the machines? And if so, which ones have seat belts? Does the leg press have a seat belt? Can you just remind us of those?
There's no seatbelt. There's no seatbelt where you're driven into the seat. For example, an overhead press, you don't need a seatbelt on. We don't need a seatbelt on a leg press. What we need a seatbelt on, and that said, is you could possibly use a seatbelt in the longest position where your hip might want to come out of the seat a little bit, but it's very difficult to get somebody to use a seatbelt on a leg press because your knees come back, and you get that feeling across your chest, your hip or stomach where you're just, especially if you got a client that's heavy, that's a little bit oversized. They don't like that feeling. So, I don't know if you've ever done a hip extension and with a belt, like our old hip extension, a 2SC hip extension we have sitting right over here. They feel like they're getting cut in half with a belt.
I can imagine.
But most of them that, for example, a torso arm pull down, we have belts on. We don't have the belt on the chest press because you're driven back in the seat or in a row. But our leg extension, we do. Leg curl, we don't because we have a couple movement arms. We don't need a seatbelt on. Now it comes with one. I suggest they don't use it. You don't need it. You're going to drive your knee up into the coupled pad and you're going to stay in position. Of course, our lumbar, low back, abdominal, they're going to need seatbelts. They keep you in position. So, of course, seatbelts are there to maintain the position, proper positioning of the joint and the client inside the machine, not just to, it's so funny. We have clients that, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't need a seatbelt. Well, that has no bearing on whether you use a seatbelt or not. Your seatbelt is there for proper positioning and maintain proper positioning. So you don't have to worry about it. The brain doesn't need 2 or 3 other things to do while you're trying to, under duress, work out. So that's what the seatbelts are for. So abduction, there are seatbelts on the abduction because it'll drive you out. Adduction really doesn't need it because as you drive toward the middle, it's not pulling you out of the seat. You're not sliding around. Abduction, you will slide around it. But one of the other things we talked about earlier, one thing we're looking at, I've got Clay kind of working on it or should be working on it, is we're looking at possibly doing and I hate this, a combo unit for abduction. I'm not a fan of them because almost any combo unit that you ever get on has giveaways. You have giveaways
by giveaway,
spring curves and position.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's very difficult to build a combo unit that doesn't have some giveaways in it, but people want them because they want it for space. So you got to have that one, have the other. So you got to listen to your client, right? So that's one of the things we're looking at doing is creating a combo unit because even Jeff over at Tomaszewski over at Ohio, the Max Strength group, he would like that. You could pull lock 2 of the, one end where they take 2 of the space, and space is expensive.
Yeah, I get it. Anyway. Interesting. So, more of in the spirit of innovation and feedback, more of a kind of technical, detailed question. Are there plans to improve the lever, aka assist pedal? I call it an in tray. I don't know if you guys say in tray. On the torso arm so that it is functional. As it is, stepping down on it lowers the movement arms about 6 inches closer to the client, which is not close enough to be of actual use. I love Imagine Strength slogan designed for any age, anybody, any condition. But can this be true for the trainer as well on this specific piece? My body has taken a hit using the torso arm. So let me know if you want me to repeat any of that. But does that all make sense?
I don't understand what they're asking.
So I should have shortened this. Any plans to improve the assist pedal on the torso arm so that it is more functional? They're saying it doesn't lower the bar close enough to the client. It says it lowers the movement arm 6 inches close to the client. And this person is obviously having to pull that. They feel they have to pull that movement arm down towards the client when, a true lever should bring it all the way down so the client can the client can grab it themselves. Does that make sense?
I don't even use it. I don't use my lever on mine. I pin mine up. So that all of our machines you can pin. I also don't believe that they should go into full extension.
Got it.
I'm not a big fan of full extension. If you talk to Bill DeSimone or any of those people, starting from a hanging position is hard on your joints. So they should be bent. That elbow should not go above eye level. So if they want to do that, they can lower the seat or raise the seat also to adjust for how far down they are. But see, a lot of people are trying to get this full real deep range of motion. And I tend to believe on my side is I don't want to hurt people's joints. So we're not a big fan of going to these full stretch positions in a lot of joints. You don't need to do that proper involvement of the tissue itself. Muscles don't care where they're at. They're either loaded or they're not loaded. So to getting these extreme ranges of motion for joints, you have bone up there, especially in this position, you're running into bone right there. You're starting to run into bone in your shoulder. So you're starting to get into soft tissue irritation. So again, depending on what somebody wants, but we're very much on safe, simple, and effective.
But
so
if you're gonna,
right now, I don't have any design to do that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but would it be one less thing to do to have to gap it or pin it, like you say, if you just had the in tray or the pedal enable the user to bring the bar all the way down from the starting position?
Well, here's the thing, why would you need to do that if it's gapped correctly? Why do you have to put your foot on the pedal? That's another step.
I see. So you're saying if it's gapped appropriately, there's no reason to even use the pedal. Right. Okay. Why did you add the pedal then? And why did you add it?
They all have to be gapped. They all have to be gapped because everybody has a different range of motion.
Right. So it's differently gapped depending on the person. And why have the pedal then in the first place? Is it just somewhere to put your feet? Is that what you were thinking?
No, we don't even put them. I don't even put them on our machines. Now people want them but see, these again are not be driven by the client. They're not going to put the trainer's going to put their foot on that pedestal, and they can certainly use them. We have people do it. I also have clients that run their shins into them.
So hang on, I won't name people. I'll keep names out of it. But
yeah.
So this person what are you saying, that you help them install the pedal or they got it separately? I'm a bit confused.
No, if they want it, we put it in.
Got it. Okay.
Right. If they don't, if they understand why we don't use it, so it's up to them. We don't have any design right now to go back and redesign the pedal to make it go deeper. Let's put it that way. If it's a big deal for a group, but to do it for like one group, one client, is very difficult for us to, 6 inches. 6 inches should be quite a drop for somebody sitting in the seat properly. You should be able to reach it. But see, again, we're not going for extreme range, right?
Yeah.
They may like that. They may want that. And so I don't know if I can go in and redesign the equipment to have it, because you're talking about another cost and time and change and all that. So, if it's something that people really want, we can certainly do it. But right now most of my studios, I haven't had too many people, say, hey, we don't want this, we want that or whatever. Now I know that Discover Strength likes to have they do these extreme ranges of motion a lot more. We actually made new movement arms for them.
Interesting.
But for the typical client, I don't know. We'll see. We can talk about that.
I must say, this is a little bit aside, and Keyser training do sort of quasi supervision, right? It's not one-on-one. They kind of have people walking around, making sure everyone's training.
They do their own thing.
Properly.
A lot of them, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I used to train at one in London in the UK. I really loved it. And I really loved their machines. And maybe it's because they are more designed for self-use, that they all have those entrees, right? Where you can press the foot pedal down and you get the movement arms where you want them. And I found that to be great for that context. Obviously, when you have a personal trainer helping you, it's less important. And that's really good. Thank you for that, Jeff. All right. Well, go ahead.
Just to touch on it a little bit more, you think about, you talk about like the transverse arm, but look at the leg extension or the knee flexion or, the row. They all have to be gapped to a certain range of motion, especially around the knee, because our machine will go to 120 degrees. We don't suggest people go 120 degrees around the knee. It will travel that far, but we usually start about 90 to 100 degrees and then extend out. So you have to gap it no matter what. So this is why it shouldn't really be in a typical facility, like a Planet Fitness, for example, because the people won't know how to do it. So we're going to end up having joint issues over time because they're going these extreme ranges of motion around that joint. And they don't understand how to set the equipment up correctly around their own condition, those kind of things. That's why
P-Circle, I would love that bit. Customer service, having another reason.
They need to be trainer driven, So that's kind of who we are. But again, if we had a bunch of people come to us and say, hey, we really need to have that travel 12 inches. We could go back and probably change that. Yes.
Cool. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to say, people want to write in and say, hey, we need this,
Yeah. Look, this is the thing with, innovating a product is you're going to get feature requests are infinite. So it's up to you,
Yes.
isn't it, to decide on what makes actually sense to.
Well, we
Yeah,
have to be true to what we believe. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
If people I think understand that, but yeah, we have to be true to my own belief system of what I see and what I've done over the last 30 years as far as in my studios and what we see on a daily basis. And my people get plenty strong over time without having to have a hanging, a hanging beginning, doing it like that. So whether it's more effective or not, getting a longer range of motion, people have their own concerns and their own ideas. So my concern is the joint itself.
Got it. Yeah, understood. Fair point. Okay. So moving on, are there future plans to allow for the back pad on the overhead press to be adjustable so that it can move forward? Due to the length of the seat, the client has to have pretty long femurs in order to have back pad support and have their knees be in front of or the edge of the seat, rather than having the edge of the seat hit the client in their lower leg. What's your thoughts on that? Having the adjustable back pad so it can move forward to help with that.
I haven't had too hard a time with my clients here. I've been using them for over 2 years now. But I mean, if it's something that people want, that's probably not that hard of a thing to do, is to make an adjustable back pad. But so yeah, it's something that people are asking for. Send us a message. Just say, hey, this, can you guys? Would it be something that we could do? Because that's a pretty simple fix. It's just like we have it on the lat raise. The lat raise seat back comes forward. We want to make things simple, less adjustments.
Yeah.
So the idea was, because you're being driven from your moving arms here, driven down to the back, so whether they have short femurs or not, their legs can go a little bit wide or whatever. We can even make the seat shorter. We can make the seat shorter by an inch or so, and that would make a difference too. But we just wanted to keep it as simple as possible without having to have an extra, extra thing you have to think about and set up on your card. Seat back forward, seat back, or whatever.
Yeah. I like that you thought about that. Good answer. Okay, so the person who asked that question, they can contact you, and maybe you can talk about that.
I mean, that's something that's an easy fix. Like I said, that's not hard to do.
Okay, all right. We're at time. Have you got a couple minutes just to do one more? Is that all right?
Oh yeah,
question.
I got plenty of time.
Okay, cool. All right. So great machines. So that's positive. What would really top them off for me is perhaps some kind of retractable and adjustable footrest to press on under the seat for those upper body exercises. Okay. My upper body is short. Upper leg femur is long and lower leg tibia is short. I'm constantly having to find one of those short box squat benches to put my feet on in most machines as my feet dangle in the air, as Bob's did on that pullover. I think he had a client on a video called Bob was doing a pullover. It feels way more secure to have contact with the floor, and I can work out way harder. The seatbelt helps, of course. So any thoughts on that? Do you want me to repeat any of that?
Well, what we do, of course, is we use little stools if somebody's short. So we have stools that are around they're like $8 for a little plastic stool or whatever.
Plastic, not a fancy metal stool piece. I would have just, passed out hearing you say that.
I can show you one. It's right here. So they're, these little collapsible stools.
Oh no, I'm not sure about that, Jeff.
We've had to put it with our Nautilus, MedX, and all those because
at least it's black.
Yeah. The problem with putting it like an adjustable, you have to make it an adjustable probably, or at least a little something that comes up. The problem with it is, and I know that people are going to go, well, but they're aware where they're at. They're usually younger and they're aware where their legs and tibia and things are. The problem is without using a stool, because I have people that come in who are 90 years old, 94 years old, 88 years old. They're not very aware where their legs are at. Well, they run into they run into those when they're getting in the machine. They bang their tibias against them. That's one reason why I don't like it on the torso arm. I kid you not. I know, for you, the younger person is very aware of their equipment. Probably not going to do that. But my 94-year-old that's using a walker, it becomes another obstruction.
Got it.
Getting in and out of the machine. So if you have somebody that their condition is very, frail, having those little pedestals out the front become an obstruction to them, it makes it harder for them to get in and out of the equipment. So we made the choice not to add those to them, and people can get a little stool. A lot of them are, a lot of our equipment is low to the ground, like our pullover, for example. my feet dangle, but I let my seatbelt hold me in position. I'm driving against the seatbelt and do that. But we can also use the stool. But right now, we don't have any plans to add what I call Tweety bars. We call them Tweety bars, like a little Tweety bar, like a Tweety bird. You put your feet on the Tweety bar to leave your feet on them. Yeah. But the problem is, I have a number of older clients that will smack their shins against those little Tweety bars, getting in and out of the equipment, and it become an obstruction. If you trip somebody and they fall, that becomes a liability.
True.
So it's one reason why, if you look at our leg press frames in front of you, we put a diamond plate so people can sit in and drop their feet down on a diamond plate before they put their feet up on the pedestal, instead of just having two frame rails. Because people will drop their foot below that frame rail and they'll trip getting in and out.
Yeah.
So you got to look at those kind of things. And you have a lot of people going throughout the day in and out of that equipment, and they're not all going to be 28 years old. Some are going to be 70, 80 years old. So you got to think about them.
Great point. I swear that store you just showed me is the same stores I have in my kitchen for my kids to help with the cutting vegetables on the worktop, or just stealing stuff out of the fruit box.
I know it's another thing that they got to think about. It'd be nice to have it. And trust me, I've thought about that. Especially my rotary torso.
You make a good argument. Yeah.
On the rotary torso, I'd love to have. When you see, that's another machine I got coming out.
Oh, nice.
The rotary torso is out, and I've got the machines over at the warehouse, so we'll show those in about a month or so. But I would like to have had a little Tweety bar on that travels with the seat as you turn it. So it's with the seat. The problem is getting in and out of it. And again, I look at these older people that I have on that rotary torso, and they won't be able to get in. You have to step over it. If you have to step over something, you're going to cause a fall.
Yeah, great point. And I know we keep making the Pete Surquat in jokes, and I'm aware that people might be listening to this for the first time and not know who the hell Pete is. Pete is, I guess, known in our space, like the $1 million trainer. So he built a high intensity training business in New York City, very successful, generating $1.2 million in annual revenue. Was just doing his prime 15-minute workouts, $125 a session. And, I collaborate with Pete closely. We do lots of podcasts. If you're on my YouTube channel or on the website and you just search Pete Surquat, CERQA, you can find lots of podcasts on how to build a more successful HIIT business. Jeff, this has been awesome, as always. Thank you so much for being so thorough with the answers. I love doing these because it just creates this really rich content that really helps people just develop a better understanding of your equipment and how it can help them with their business. Best way people to find out more about you, imaginestrength.com, I guess, is where we send people. Yep. Is there anywhere else?
They can send me a message. Yeah. My phone number's on there, and of course, Jeff at imaginestrength.com. But people need to understand that, we're a company that is driven by proper exercise and also helping people make money. So there are some things you can and cannot do when you're designing a line of equipment. And I've had to learn this myself over the years. Is, you have things you've got to have that are involved in that piece, and other things you got to let go. I would like to have had our bicep tricep be coupled movement arms, and I probably will over time, but that's going to be in the future as we improve and become better. We do. We'll continue to improve our equipment, innovate, and improve. But right now, they're great tools for people that know what they want out of their studio. They're great tools. The tool is just a tool, and it's how they train on it. But we want people to use the equipment to provide a good living, make it simple and safe for their clients, but also to make more money using it. So we want to keep the price affordable, be able to provide service, and innovation.
Mm-hmm. Love it. imaginestrength.com, Jeff at imaginestrength.com. That's JEFF, right? And if you are a HIIT professional watching, listening to this, and you would like to get more clients for free, you can get a proven system that is also free over at school.com/HIB. That's Hotel Indigo Bravo, high intensity business. And there's links to that wherever you're watching or listening to this, on YouTube or the website, or wherever you're watching this, really, there should be. Jeff, thanks again for your time. This has been great. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it again soon. If you guys are listening to this, you've got more questions, best place to probably do that is join that school community, school.com/HIB. And I always post asking for questions from the members. So if you have questions for future content with me and Jeff, then please join and look out for that.
Well, they need to keep coming back, by the way, because we're going to be able to show those new videos of the new equipment.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Come back to hit business and see what we're doing and how we're going to innovate.
Yes. Yeah. So come back to look out for the videos with Jeff demoing the new equipment. And for all the show notes, please go to highintensitybusiness.com. Just search for episode 501. And thank you very much for listening.